Today's video, we're going to talk about shopping feed optimization and how you can get profitable results with it. Not some of the time, not most of the time, but every time. And I do mean that genuinely, not facetiously, not, through just having clickbait to get more views on this video. If you put the work in to do these things that I'm going to share with you on today's video, you are going to get more profit from your shopping campaign. The only question is are you going to actually do it? There are several things on this list that you can do to your shopping feed to make your shopping campaign produce more results, more profit every time. And I'll go into detail on which one, every one of these things are based upon my 10 years experience running shopping campaigns at our firm and another multiple years of experience running ads before I even started this firm. So, and on hundreds of accounts, because we don't work with just a few clients at our firm, we work with dozens. So and I do all the leading or key strategy for all client accounts at our firm. So I'll go through these things that we actually found moves the needle, moves it predictably, so you can apply this to your own business. If you stay to the end of the video, I'll have a case study for you at the end so you can understand how well this works for each thing that I'm about ready to share. So with that said, I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guarantee PPC, a online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for our clients. That is, no fees paid until you get a certain minimum lift in your profitability up front on your campaigns that you're running. We are the only agency on the planet who offers any kind of similar guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information you're going to get on this video. So with that said, getting into the content here. So these are the most profitable feed optimizations that you can do that we found over the last 10 years running the firm and ranked, more importantly, by what moves the needle the most, what will make you the most profit, okay? I'm going to go through what each one of these things are, starting with the most valuable. Now, that said, this is what's going to produce you the most ROI. Not necessarily the easiest to deploy. Easy generally doesn't go with most profit in almost anything you're doing with advertising. But with that said, I also put asterisks next to the ones that are the most easy. So if you're looking for this thing that's going to be the easiest, not necessarily bringing you the most profit, but the easiest to do, that you can then get some profit going from it, then deploy it and reinvesting it into the things that are harder to do, but it can move the needle the most, so to say. So with that said, the number one thing that will make you the most money with optimizing your shopping feed is image optimizations. Why? Because that has the biggest impact on your ad click-through rates, and that's what's the most noticeable on a shopping ad is the image. A lot of people don't think though through about their image. They just think, okay, there's my product, it's on there, I'm done. No, it's not even close to being the case. How that image is set up, how the product is angled, is there a drop shadow? Is it an active background, a white background? All of this impacts the rate in which you're going to get people's attention and therefore your click-through rate on your ad. What I recommend you do is setting up a secondary product feed or supplemental product feed on your Google Merchant Center account and put on there and do some testing around one item that gets a high ROI for you right now, but not very many impressions. So you could try to get more impressions from it. So you pick the best thing to run the test on, frankly. If it's got a white background, you go with an active background. That is, if you sell the grill, you put it on a picnic table in a park. Or if you're doing that already, you take out the background and you just put it on a white background. And then just do that simple split test up front. There's a 50-50 chance that'll actually get you a better conversion rate. So it just depends. It could go either way. Once you've ran that test, you could then do other tests. Such as, for instance, if you sell wallpaper, okay, you can actually, instead of showing what the wallpaper looks like a swatch, you can actually show a swatch overlaid with a picture of a wallpaper roll on top of it to indicate to the user and make it more obvious what it is. The more obvious of whatever it is that's being marketed, the more click-through you're going to get because it's more clear, and that's the name of the game with online marketing, with ads and landing pages and websites in terms of getting the most out of it. So you could do that. That said, okay, in that scenario, I could just show the roll of wallpaper with it, the corner of it showing what color you're getting. That could be one test. You could do another test where you have a drop shadow coming off of that roll. Another one you could do where you lighten the photo a little bit and test that, or darken it if it's already pretty light. You could also change the angle. Instead of having the product image like this at this angle for your wallpaper roll, why not do it the other way? Do a mirror 180-degree horizontal mirroring of that product image. You can do this by using your supplemental product feed to override any image that's on your product pages now. So you can have not just automatically having to use the product image from your site, but the most ideal ad image that's going to get you the highest click-through rate on your shopping ad for that item. So a lot of people don't recognize they can do this. You use the automated product feed to scrape everything off your site and bring it to Google Merchant Center, but then you are going to, if a different image will work better to get the highest click-through rate for an item, you can override that with your supplemental product feed. Okay? So those are some basic tests, like our typical scenario, how we're going to start out ad testing for an item. Because everything varies by market, I can't give you like the turnkey way to do this, but that is a perfect way to get started, okay, on different things. Changing the rotation of, rotate the item. You can also rotate vertically. So like if it's a watch, you can show it where it's more so pointed at a top-down angle versus, in other words, instead of showing the watch like, let's say like this, maybe you change the angle and it's straight on. All of this stuff matters and will actually impact your click-through rate in a statistically significant way. Obviously, the way that you have it now, the chances of it being the best way to get the highest click-through rate for that item is probably like 10%. So on 90% of your items, you're going to be able to get more click-through rate on your item by just going through those iterations I just described there and finding the one that's going to work the most ideal for that item. Then you can do it for another couple items. Find out what works the best there. Then do it for a couple more items. With the key thing being, you don't want to do it for all your items right away, even if you could do it with all the work it's going to take. Because the algorithm, if you're relying, that is, on the amount of profit your ads are bringing in now, it's going to screw with the results you're getting because it's going to send everything back into learning mode. So I recommend doing no more than 5% of your items at a time. And you should basically start with the ones that don't get the most clicks, even though that would bring you the most learnings for you to learn from what basically works the most for all your items that way. I don't recommend doing them all at once by any means. What kind of works on one item won't necessarily work on another. There might be trends where you find out that something pointing this way versus this way works on most items, but it won't work for them all, which is why you're going to have to run the split test as I described on every item individually. Make no doubt about it. This is because people pay attention to the image more than anything else. You can easily get double, if not triple, the click-through rate on that item just by finding the right variant there of the variants I just described that's going to work for you. You can get even more if you figure out some outside-the-box thing that's going to help you get more results. Google doesn't allow you to have promotional overlays, but a lot of times we would do something simple like have an arrow pointing to the item or having a box around a certain portion of the item. So if we have a flower vase, we have the flower vase here, right? Let's say this is the flower vase. We would have a red box around the bottom part for no other reason than to get people's eyes focused on it. The key thing is, if you have 8 products that are showing in the shopping space, okay? Whatever stands out is going to get the most click-through rate typically. So if everybody's got a white background, you do an active background. If everybody's got an active background, you do a white background. That'll probably get you the highest click-through rate. So you could technically audit this by item to get it out ahead of it a little bit quicker to find what is going to work the best for each item, seeing what shows up for that similar items now. But with that said, it's anything that's going to make it stand out, like a goofy red box around the item, that's going to typically get you a bump in click-through rate. Not all the time, but a decent amount of time. And really all this stuff I talked to you about, it might only have a 20% chance of getting a higher click-through rate for you. That's fine, because after you go through all 10 iterations, you're going to find something that's going to probably get you double the click-through rate when you add it all up. And you find, once you find that an active background works, okay, then you can try the red box trick. If that doesn't work, you can try the arrow trick. And when you combine it all, you're getting twice the click-through on your item, on each item, which frankly, if you're making 50 grand a month in profit right now from your shopping campaign, which is pretty typical for a scaled up shopping campaign, now you're making 100K, and actually you'd be making more than 100K once you've done that and doubled the click-through rate, because doubling the click-through rate is going to lower your cost per click, and it's going to also get you more impressions. So if you could literally double your click across the board just by optimizing and finding the most ideal version of a shopping layout for that each product that you have, you can probably get 3 to 4 times as much profitability out of that shopping campaign. So you're not making 50 grand a month, you're making 200 when you add up all the other benefits that a higher click-through rate makes. Make no doubt about it, what you're trying to do is optimize for click-through rate, not conversion rate, and not ROI. Main reason being, I'll take that back slightly. In terms of the image itself, you're gonna go for highest click-through rate. Why? Because higher click-through rates are always gonna make you more money for all the reasons I said. When you get down to price testing, that's a different story where you're going to look at what gets the highest ROI. But other than that, you're going for click-through rate and click-through rate only, because if more people click through the ad, you're going to make more money. Simple. Okay, so that's image testing or optimizations. You also got GTIN Gap Filling, as I call it. Sometime recently in like 2022, Google had a huge update with their ad system, which is why, by the way, it's great to work with a firm that works on dozens of accounts at any given time, because ultimately you can stay abreast of these changes that come out that are going to massively affect your results if you're caught up in the dragnet. And you've got somebody who already understands why the results are going down versus panicking and then making a bunch of unnecessary changes to your account that had no impact on your results. And then you end up throwing your results off into left field for no reason at all. With that said, people that were doing drop shipping didn't have a lot of GTIN numbers for their product feed. And then it was okay, but once Google did an update to prefer items with the GTIN added, the results on our shopping campaigns on those clients, which I don't even prefer working with drop shipping clients anymore nowadays, because it's actually so hard to make work unless you're doing high-end product drop shipping, which I could explain more about that in a moment. But with that said, our profitability on our ads cut more than half of what it was. Like we were making, these aren't the real numbers, but if we were making 10, we got down to about 3-4K a month from that shopping campaign because of this update. It's better to upload a fake GTIN than none at all. And that's not what you would necessarily want to do, but you would literally legitimately make way more money that way, because Google's system is biased against items that don't have it, and legitimately because they're trying to get rid of drop shippers. They don't want 15 million people selling the same exact item, because it just, when you're looking at the shopping space and there's 15 people selling it, the same exact copy of the image that they just copy from the manufacturer, obviously that doesn't provide a good experience to their users. So if you have to, you go buy a GTIN. You can buy them in bulk for like $1 each, or an MTN number, and then you apply it and you're going to get great results. That's going to be really a big impact on any item that don't have a GTN or MPN number, and it's super easy to do. So you want to do that. Price drops, okay? Now, there's the psychological hack that's been around for a long time. If you end a price with a digit 7, it'll typically get more click-through rate and conversion rate. More so on the conversion rate side. This doesn't happen in all cases. What does happen in almost every single case, though, when it comes to price testing, is you will have a huge increase in click-through rate on your ad, and therefore profitability, given and when you have something that was priced $200 and then lowering that down to $199 to get more click-through. More click-through will get you more people for your same ad budget and ultimately make more money. I've gotten to the habit, because I've seen it work enough times now, that I'll tell the client up front, any market where you're within $10 of the next $100 price break, you want to just lower your price so you're just, not $205 but $198 or $199, because you'll typically make twice as much money on that item when everybody's around that same price level, just by making it 190 something versus 20 something. And that'll apply strongly when you go from 90 something to 100 something, going from 2 to 3 digits, and same thing with going from 3 to 4 digits. Basically, and then, along with that, some of our clients will go and look at what the other competitors are priced at and be $1 or $2 underneath. That's a very good strategy. For me, I don't really like it so much because it's a pain in the ass, and you can go through all that work, have the campaigns go through learning mode on that item again, potentially, not always, but potentially, and then having to find out later that the competitor lowered their item a couple bucks, and then it's not, I want to do stuff that my competitor I know is too lazy to do. So when I got it executed, I'm getting my return from it ongoing, and I can move and take my return to get something else going, versus maybe it'll work today and then I'll have to tweak it and all that crap. And which is why when I write ad copy, I like single keyword ad groups, because I'm not going to have to make an ad, see the competitor copy it, and then I have no edge again, and then I've got to change it again, and I don't do things that way typically. But anyway, that's a turnkey way to make more money, optimizing your product feed. You can also do competitor keyword lowering. So what you do, you've seen people for years do this on Craigslist, and it's always been smart, and you still to this day see it. If you go look for let's say a Ferrari F50 on Craigslist, assuming that one existed there to buy, what you'll do is see in the bottom part of the description there, not Lamborghini Countach, not McLaren P40, whatever. And they're doing that because they know if you're looking for McLaren P40 and you see this listing, you're likely to buy. So they're able to bring in more traffic, relevant traffic that can actually bring in the sale that they want. And as it applies to Google Shopping campaigns and Google Shopping optimization, you find on your items all the directly comparable items in that same price category as that item is, and you take it and you put it into the product title, and you have at the end of the title, not this, not that, or just not, and then the competitor 1, competitor 2, competitor 3. That completely knocks it out of the park, because Google's going to right away know exactly what search results it should show up for. And given that they're looking at a product like a wrench that is the same price point and is directly competing with our item, we're going to get a lot of sales we wouldn't have got otherwise, that the algorithm's not necessarily smart enough to pick up that we should show up for. Sometimes it will, but not always. And anytime you can help the algorithm, guide it in the direction it would ultimately need to go using some human power as well, you're going to typically cut out the time it takes for the algorithm through brute trial and error to figure out where it should show up for and where it's not. So for what it could take 10 years Google to figure out, you can get it to figure out in a year by showing Google the exact competing items for every item in your store through taking the competing items, putting it in the product title. And why product title? Because Google looks at the product title for deciding where your items are going to show up for in the Google search results more than anything else. You could put it in the description, but it won't necessarily for sure show up for those items, where if it's in the title, it'll almost for sure show up for those keywords. So you can, if you don't want to junk up your title, you put it in the description. You can do that. So it's just, but you won't get quite the immediate ranking, if you will. So that's one way to make more money from doing shopping feed optimization. You can also do synonym keyword lacing. So if you're selling like a green coat, maybe somebody who types in forest green coat on Google is looking for a coat that's green as well, just specifically forest green. You take forest green and you add it to the product title again. You have the product title. Let's say here's the title. This is what you have in the product title on your shopping feed. You could have a vertical bar, and then you could have forest green, mauve. Different shades of green. Shade 1, shade 2, shade 3. Google, again, going back to what I was saying before, Google, you're going to help the algorithm understand what it should show up for. You crack open your thesaurus, in other words. Go find out, what is some different words for horsepower. Maybe you find out a similar word is output, for instance, or torque, or whatever. You get what I'm saying. Words that are synonymous with, a keyword that would represent your product. You put that in the product title. It's going to help Google figure out where the item should show up. And you're not going to force it to show something that it shouldn't show, but if it shows in a place because you added a keyword and then right away you start getting sales from it, Google's going to be like, hey, wow, I just found another place to get customers that pay off at the ROI that the customer's looking for here. And it's going to show you for that keyword from now on. You can technically, and we know because we tested this, you can literally take those keywords back out after you've run the ads with the keywords in the title for a while, and it'll keep ranked for those keywords, because it's like a signal. You're giving Google a signal where it should show up to help it learn faster. It's similar to, like most of the AI and machine learning out there. There's companies out there that do AI via using humans to learn. So like, for instance, they will tag certain elements in an environment so the AI can learn what they are quicker so it can make inferences sooner. And they pay humans to tag things to help the algorithm learn. This is essentially what you're doing. You're tagging the items that you sell with certain keywords to help the algorithm understand better what the items are versus having to try 10 million things and eventually figure out where your item should show in the search results. It'll figure it out 10 times faster. So you can throw away way less money to get to the end result that you want quicker. So anyway, with that said, those are the 5 things that we do on a shopping campaign to get it to pay more right there. I gave you everything. Now, there are small things that you can do to make things better, namely just get rid of all the feed errors. But those are the 90% of what we know how to do to get more results out of shopping is what I gave you here, okay? If you want somebody to do this stuff for you, it's very time consuming, but we're set up for it, and we can guarantee you get to a certain lift of profitability with it before we take our management fees. If you would like that, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about the topic of doing this for you, as well as a bunch of other stuff we could do for you, and then what we could guarantee for you along with it. We also, by the way, have been selling ad templates. If you don't want to work with an ad agency per se, but would like to get good results, if we've worked in your niche market before, we could sell you the winning ad template, landing page template, all of it that work for your niche market, for you to literally copy paste into your ad account and get the results we are in a different geographic area that you're in or targeting. We got people using these templates to sell other stuff, other items that they could easily get from China and sell it in a country our client isn't in and have a turnkey business with it. Or we got people using the template to generate leads, attorney leads, selling the leads to attorneys. We've got multiple people doing that now. If you're interested in a business opportunity, starting a business from a template to sell a known item or service that we know will sell profitably because we're doing it in a different geographic area that you want to operate in, that's like the most sure bet to get a business to work. There's nothing you're testing. Anyway, if you're interested in other opportunities, those templates, you can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be happy to speak with you about it as well. We've worked in over 100 plus niche markets, and we can tell you the results we got in the market that you might be interested in when you reach out. That said, moving forward to what I was talking about here. Now, if you want to know what type of results we can get, the wallpaper example, we had a company that was selling wallpaper just by getting the image testing set up right, by the way. Doing the actual test that I mentioned, where we did active background, non-active background, just that test of taking the swatch and then instead of using a swatch, using a room where that wallpaper was created, which, by the way, I forgot to even mention it. You can actually take these image tests that I talked about here, and you could use an AI program to create the image for you. Yes, it's not quite as good as having a real image, but like in our case where we know showing the wallpaper on a wall and then in a living room in a live setting, that got the most click-through rate. Not in every case, but in certain instances, it got 200-300% increase in click-through rate. So, and which was about on 1 in 3 of the items, we were getting a click-through rate that was at least generally speaking double and sometimes triple. This shows you just how much more you can make for selling items and how much more of the items that you have will move just by finding whether you should have an active background or a non-active background. And then with that, you can use AI tools so you don't even have to go ahead and have a model home where you can show that product in use to have an active background, if you follow what I'm trying to say here. With that said, I mentioned the GTIN. We had a client selling cremation urns and so forth. They were selling branded cremation urns. We got totally nailed by not having the GTIN on more than half of the items because the people that they were getting them from did not have the GTINs themselves. When I told that client that with another client, we went ahead and added fake GTINs to see if that would improve the situation. It immensely helped. We went ahead and had the client buy all the GTINs because they didn't want to do anything fake, added them, and we recovered most of the results that we lost. So we took a 60% haircut on the sales and profit that campaign was generating because the impressions got cut way back. Once Google did what they were doing with it, we added the GTINs back in there. Granted, they don't know if they're real or not because those items don't have GTINs, even though few other people are selling it. And we got most of the sales results back within our next 90 days of adding them back in. So that's another great example of how much adding the GTINs in there is going to help your business once you've done it. Which, by the way, if you want to really cream getting results for your shopping campaign, you want to watch my other content on this channel. I've got tons of content just about shopping campaigns alone, let alone tracking to go along with it, along with everything else. If If you haven't subscribed to this channel, you absolutely should to get that information, because the information you're going to get on this channel from me about the topic, as well as other topics about how to run ads on Facebook and everything else, comes from somebody who spends 40 hours a week doing ad strategy for our clients. And I've got 50 different accounts that I'm responsible for doing ad strategy on, just testing and figuring out what works in today's environment, what's changed, giving you everything you need that I've learned, what works and what doesn't work, so you can apply this stuff to your account. You're literally getting multi-million a year dollar worth of ad research as to what's working, so you can make millions of dollars running ads for your business. If you're going to pay attention to anybody, you might as well pay attention to myself and what I have on this channel for you here first, because 99% of the information and hucksters you find online and on YouTube that talk about doing ad strategy are not running any ads. They run a firm, but they're not in the trenches doing anything, or they run a couple ads and that's it. And that's not enough experience to know anything about how to run ads successfully and becoming a millionaire running ads. So therefore, if you're going to pay attention to anything, you want to pay attention to this information first. I also got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog itself has step-by-step instructions on how to apply the strategies we're using for clients to get guaranteed results for them, with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. You can't really ask for anything more in terms of, if you are serious about making millions of dollars a year running ads for your business. What I laid out for you there is, perfect to get you started, we'll just say at the very least. So with that said, by the way, if you have any questions about anything I covered here, or any marketing related question for that matter, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, typically within 24 hours time. I do answer every one of you guys who ask me a question in the comment section, just as a way of helping the channel grow, and of course saying thank you for watching and helping the channel grow. So with that said, in terms of the price drop, give you a quick case study there. We had a client who sold a paint product. The paint product, we had a product. I talked about one little hack you can do with shopping that I didn't talk about on today's video, where you can upload the same item to shopping twice, and Google will promote it twice in a lot of the search results. That's a hack I shouldn't tell anybody. It works so good. We had the same item, one on there for 190x, 190 like $5, one that was like $210. The item that was in the 190s got twice the ROI than the one that's at like $210. And the main reason why is because it gets way more click-through. And guess what? The item, once people click through the cheap item, they had more expensive items in the $200 and some range as well that they sold. A good chunk of them would just go for the more expensive item when they came in. What this essentially does, or is like what retail stores have known as a loss leader strategy for a long, long time. The grocery store that sells the bag of sugar for less than what it costs to buy, they use that to get you in the store, and then you end up buying all this other shit while you're in there. And that's the business, that's the funnel, that's their funnel. You can do the same thing on shopping, have an item that is sold for under cost to get people to come into your store that is a staple item. If you sell fitness stuff, it could be an item that everybody buys, and then a percentage of those people will buy something else, and that's where your profit comes from. So anyway, that shows you literally what you're talking about, like the potential return you can get just by lowering your price. So it's a couple dollars cheaper, so it's $100 and some, not $200 and some. Give you a perfect example. Competitor keyword lacing, synonym keyword lacing. We've done so much of this. This takes a lot of time, but the ability for you to go ahead and make a list of every competing item that competes directly with the items that you sell. Not only that you can use it on shopping, but that when somebody searches for that item on YouTube or on Google search or wherever it is, you have an ad that shows up for your item saying why it's specifically better than the item that they were originally looking at. You will make so much money. We do all of that, but then you can also use that research you do to append the make and model or part number that you're competing with there into the title to right away start getting more results on your campaigns. And the more volume of competitor searches you have, obviously the more sales increase you're going to get from doing this. We had somebody who sold a toolbox, specifically high-end toolboxes. We were able to do the competitor keyword lacing and then the synonyms as well, both. I recommend you start with the keyword lacing, because the person who's searching for a competitor's product, they're a lot closer to making a purchase than somebody searching for toolboxes for sale. Okay? That alone on our shopping campaign got 60-70% increase in sales volume at the ROI, that minimum ROI that we needed, just by adding the competitor keywords to each item diligently to have the exact model numbers that competed with each item at the same or similar price category level, if you will, for each item individually. And you may ask, by the way, doesn't Google not like that you're doing basically keyword stuffing? Like they've hated on the SEO side of things for years they don't want you to put keywords in your page for ranking purposes. So far, knock on wood, they've never done anything to our clients' accounts. Now, I don't want to scare you away from not doing it. I mean, for that matter, if you wait for some green light for everybody to tell you it's okay to do something with your advertising, you're just never going to get any results, because if everybody does it, there's no results there anymore. The return is gone. It's just like in the stock market. If you're going to wait for the newspaper to tell you what to invest in, the return on that strategy is gone. Anyway, with that same client, we did also adding synonyms in there. So instead of, toolbox, we added the keyword tool chest, roller, tool chest, stuff like that, basically, to give you an example of how this works. And that took us another 50 to 100% increase in sales at the ROI we need once we started to plateau on the results from adding the competitor keywords. So there's so much potential when you add up all the potential gain you can get here. Not to say you'll get that level of return on your stuff, but there's something here where you're going to at least be able to double your profit if you just go through this list one by one. And like I mentioned before, you do one, make money, hire somebody to help you roll out and do the rest. It's like an ice cube tray. Building a multi-million-dollar ad campaign for your business is like filling up an ice cube tray. You make money from one small thing, parlay it into the next strategy and the next strategy. And all the strategies, all the stuff that you need to know what to do is all on this channel for free. So you can't complain that you don't know what to do, or only if you knew. You just have to get to work doing it. So with that said, though, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said shopping campaign was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.